So today we're continuing with our bed. Now, I've been looking at our bed here, and it's taken shape. There's a couple of bits we still need to do. So, for example, I need to smooth these out, these posts, so they're looking a bit rounder. But the bed is still looking very kind of blocky to me, very primmy. And when I'm looking at it, I think the reason is this mattress. Even though we've beveled some corners out, it's still kind of looking very pristine, very unnatural. So I played around a little bit, and I come up with this. Let's go into object mode here, which is basically fitting a sheet over the bed, and with that sheet we get these kind of wrinkles and softer curves and things like that, which I think looks a lot better than our original model, which is this one. So we'll go through the process of doing this today, and that should bring us very near to completion, apart from a few minor bits. So let me close this file and go back to our original. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to select the mattress, and we want to make a duplicate, and we make a duplicate using the Shift D. Let me just turn on the keys here so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay, by using Shift D, so I'll Shift D and I'll press Enter to drop that mattress exactly where the other one is. And now I'll move that to my layer 2, so I'll press the M key for move, and I'll press the 2 key. So now if I come to my second layer, I've got this mattress. Okay, now the way we do this is with a cloth modifier. Basically like we did before, draping a tablecloth over something. So we'll do that. So first of all, I'm going to reset my 3D cursor back to the center because it's moved out somehow. So that is Shift C. Okay, so that 3D cursor is in the center of the grid, and I'm going to add a plane. So Shift A to add a mesh plane. Let me just go to the top view for this, and I'm going to go into wireframe as well. So do this here, or with the Z key. Okay, so it's slightly off center to my mattress. Let me just kind of pull it so it is center, slightly off center that way as well by the looks of it. Somewhere around there. Okay, I'm going to resize this plane, so I'm going to scale it up, and what I want to do is I want to scale it up so that the nearest edges are long enough to fold down over the side of the mattress. Still looking a bit off center. There you go. Okay, so let me go back into a solid view here. So we've got this plane, and I'm just going to go to side view. Let's put this into an orthographic view, and I'm going to pull this sheet above the mattress, just above. It doesn't need to be way up here because it'll mess up. You just want it somewhere around there. Okay, so let me go to the top view again. And we want to, if we're using a cloth modifier, we need to add more geometry to this sheet. I'll call this a sheet from now on. So let me go into edit mode, and I'll press my W key from my specials menu, and I'll press subdivide, and I'll increase the number of cuts here to 10. Then I'll do that again, W subdivide, and I'll increase the number of cuts here, and I'm thinking 9 will do that. 10, 9, 8, yeah, 8 or 9. I think 9 will do me for that one. Alright, I'm also in edge select mode, so let me just change that to vertex select, deselect everything, and I'm going to go into a wireframe again, so I see what's going on. It's still looking too far over this way, so let me select everything, bring it over. There we go. Alright, now these are going to fold down under. These are looking a bit longer, so I probably want to delete a few of these rows up here, so just so the whole lot's kind of even, somewhere around there. I'll select those, and I'll box select a few down here, let's say about there. Yeah, that should do, and delete those. X, delete vertices, which is fine. Right, so let's go back into a solid view, a solid shader. We've got this all nicely subdivided up, so let's go back into object mode, and we're going to use a cloth modifier on this. So the first thing we need to do is we'll select the mattress, we'll come across to our physics tab here, and we want the sheet to collide against the mattress, you know, to group over the mattress. So we'll make this a collision, and then we'll pick the sheet and we'll make this a cloth. For a preset I'm going to use cotton. I'm just going to go with the cotton presets. Cloth collision we'll want because we don't want it to kind of cross over inside itself, and I'll use a self collision quality 2. Okay, right, so we've got those two set up, and with the sheet selected we can run a simulation here, a cloth animation. This is just going to scroll through once before it does anything else. I don't know why Blender does that, but it seems to do it. You know, it'll go through once and before it starts recording. So we'll let this kind of droop over, and we'll go however many frames, you know, until it kind of looks like it's where we need it to be. So just let this run for a minute. And what I'm looking for is basically so all this is flat against the edge of the mattress here. We're just kind of doing now. Let it run a few more frames. These are folding down nicely. I want these kind of going down straight here. Actually, there's looking good. You see where the sheet is folding in underneath? That's looking pretty good. And we've got these wrinkles and stuff on the sheet, so that's looking pretty good. I'll let it run a few more. And it's dropping out again, so just let it run. Probably about 30 frames we'll let this go to. We're at 24 at the minute. 25. There, it's dropping down again. But you can see where we are getting these wrinkles and stuff in the sheets, which is kind of the effect I was looking for. 30. There we go. Okay, I'm going to pause that there. Right, so I'm having a look around. I'm making sure that nothing is kind of poking through. We've got these wrinkles. If I put a smooth shader on that, you can start to see this a little better. And it is kind of hard to see. Sometimes when things are hard to see, you can use the matte caps. And what matte caps does is it adds a different kind of shading to the whole scene, actually. You know, so you can kind of see different things. But you've got a choice here. And gold is often good for seeing, you know, what kind of geometry, what the geometry is doing. I mean, if we look very closely here, we can see we've got kind of like a crease running across the middle here, but we've got these folds, and you know, there's this unevenness here, and that's the kind of look we're going for. Okay, so turn matte cap off, and we've got the sheet draped about there. Let's just actually let me turn the matte cap back on again. Alright, the reason is because I just want to run through what animation we got here to see how it's all looking. My blender's kind of freezing up on me. Come on, there we go. So that's at frame 40. We ended about frame 30. So okay, that's kind of lost everything for some reason. Alright, well, let's just run this again. We'll come back to the beginning and we'll run an animation again and just let it work through. Sometimes you find with these cloth simulations or animations, you know, it never does the same thing twice. So, you know, if you run it a couple of times, if you don't like the first result, run it again, you might get a better result. See what's happening here. Okay. This is starting to fold down nicely. Alright, I'm going to stop it there. There. Okay. I'm on phrase 17, so I'm looking around here, making sure everything's looking okay. And it is. Right. It's pulled in underneath this mattress. Yours may or may not do that. Depends on your presets. But it hasn't pulled in kind of like tight. We're going to address that in a minute. So, where are we? So we get here, we're happy with that result. We can come across to the modifiers tab and we can apply this cloth modifier, basically make this a mesh. Okay, so now this shape sticks on it. Okay, so we've got this kind of basic shape. Let's turn it back to turn the matte cap off. Right, I'm going to go back to layer 1 here, and I've got my original mattress. I'm just going to select it. I'm going to hide it with the H key. Okay, now I'm going to shift select layer 2 so I can see how this is starting to look on the bed. Okay, and you can see a big difference already. You know, we're getting these folds and creases. This might help if I do matte cap again. There we go. Getting these folds and creases, and it's looking more like a sheet should. Say that 3 times fast when you're drunk. Sheet should. Yeah, I better stop there with that one, hadn't I? Okay, so let's just go back and select layer 2. So I've got this sheet which is folding under nicely. So I'm just going to pause here for a few minutes so we can talk about what we've done so far, and then when we come back we'll be kind of tidying up the underside of the sheet, the corners and everything.